Hey, welcome to the second episode of the People's Empowerment Podcast. And today I'm joined with Chevi, who actually is a member of Empower the People, but she also has recently published a book. And in that book, she in fact mentioned Empower the People, which is really great. And I'd love to get into, well, just a bit about Chevi, what makes her tick, what about her history, and also about her book and a few other things. So hi Chevi, welcome.
Thank you.
So yeah, would you like to just tell everybody a bit about yourself and what you've been up to throughout your life?
Yes, so I'm a therapist, so I do a lot of healing, sound healing and channeling. So I channel, so I do a bit of mediumship, so I do channel spirit guides, that kind of thing.
Okay, cool, nice. And why did you decide to start to get into channeling and healing and stuff like
I suppose I've always had that gift. It's taken me a long time to actually just do it really because it scared me in the past. But a lot of the channeling I do, I get a year channel like the higher realms, such as Mary Magdalene, Jesus, that kind of thing. And Saint Bede is one of my main guides, so that's why I got it. That's why I was interested in Empower the People as well because of the biblical teachings.
that? Okay, nice. And so when you say you channel these beings, what actually happens? Do you see them? Are they sort of in the room with you? Or how does it work?
Well, I'm a trans medium, so they come through me. So my face changes, the energy on my face changes. Um, and they speak through me. So during lockdown, this is when it actually started because I used to block it out because it scared me a little bit. But during lockdown, I would meditate and I would, these beings would come through to me and tell me what part of the Bible to read. And I was a bit oblivious. I didn't really understand. I don't understand the Bible. I do believe in it, but I don't believe in a lot of it because it's been covered over. And a lot of what I was shown was about the corruption, that's been taking place. So that's why I started kind of researching, um, and this is where the book came into existence. So
So yeah, before we get into the actual contents of the book and everything, when you say that you were shown, how do you mean you were
no,
shown?
I wasn't shown. I was given messages
Okay.
to read a certain page in the Bible. I didn't really understand it, but so the first one was about there's a Greek word for pharmacy. I can't remember what it was called now because I haven't got my paperwork with me. But when I looked it up, it was talking about pharmacy being poison.
So so
Um,
so there was somewhere in the Bible saying that.
yeah, it's somewhere in the Bible, and I can't
Okay, cool.
remember where it is now. But I've got lots of notes somewhere. But yeah, and that's how I got into it. And that's how I found Empower the People. It was the biblical teachings that kind of that I was drawn to.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I read a little bit of the Bible myself, and I don't subscribe to being a Christian, but there is some things I think we can gain from reading the Bible, definitely. But then also, like you mentioned, it's good to be aware that the original teachings have been perhaps changed, or there's parts missing, and it's disjointed as as the book's been tampered with over the years, right?
Yeah, definitely. And this is what I was shown. So, but there's a lot of research. There's just too much stuff, that is being hidden in the Bible, and debt is one of them.
What do
There's
you
a lot.
mean?
There's a lot of scripts in the Bible about debt, and that's how I got into it, and that's how. That's why I started writing the book, because of
Oh yeah.
my own experience 10 years ago.
But what was your experience?
Okay, so I was declared bankrupt in 2013, and I went into depression. I was really depressed because I was getting a lot of stick from the bankers, and they weren't nice. They wasn't very nice at all, and I did. I felt suicidal, and that is why I wanted to get it out there about what is going on with the banking system.
Yeah, right. So in your book you covered the banking system as well.
Yes, a little bit, very basic. I didn't really want to go into too much of it, yeah, because it's just above my head a little bit. But I'm learning also. I learn stuff every day, but I put a little bit about the basics of what's happening with when you get a bank loan, for example, um, or a mortgage, um, how it works on the back end without you kind of knowing. So it's already paid. Does that make sense?
It's only what, sorry?
Yeah. So yeah, in the book I only mention the basics of the banking system.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah. So, do you want to guide us through the rest of the book? How does it work? Well, what's the motive behind it? Like, what was your intentions and motives behind writing it?
Well, it's to help other people because there's a lot of people feeling suicidal about debt, being in debt, and there's a lot of people commit suicide over debt, and what that was kind of the thing that made me want to get it out there
Yeah,
about, about the financial system. And that's why I refer people to empower the people to help them pay to get rid of the debts.
yeah. And I'm glad that you found us, Chev, and you joined us, and you mentioned us in your book. It's really awesome. So how yeah? Do you just is there a section about debt and it says you could join us, or um? And is it just about helping people with debt? Is that essentially your book? Or is there more, is there other bits?
Yeah, it's about the birth certificate also. What happens with the birth certificate when you're born, how it's duplicated, the straw man. So I got into a little bit about that. I got into the history of how it all came, how it was all set up, and how it was all planned. Um, yeah, so I go into that a little bit about the banking system, the birth certificate. Just quite a few chapters actually. Yeah, I've actually forgotten because I haven't got it in front of me. But yeah, it's been quite a while since I've written it.
Sure. And you mentioned about the history of how we sort of got to where we are now. Do you want to touch a bit on that?
So it goes into the crowns. When you're born, I can't remember the dates because my memory's not great. But so when you're born, then the crown duplicates your birth certificate. The live birth certificate goes to the Vatican. Now, uh, that's only from my research. I've only put what um, my own opinion from what I found from my own research. So I have kind of made that clear because there's a lot of people saying that it isn't true, and
So what that would there be anybody in the world that there it gets duplicated, or is there only certain countries and then it gets sent to the Vatican apparently?
say that again.
So did you just say that the birth certificate gets duplicated? Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah. So does that go for anybody in any country?
I think I was just aiming for. Well, I didn't actually mention a particular country. America and United Kingdom, I think I mentioned.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, that'd be really strange, right? Why would the UK and America need to send a copy of their birth certificate to the Vatican?
Yeah,
Very weird, isn't it? And I mean, you could possibly see why that, if you are the evil people running the agenda and you like to keep track of everybody, but then again, why would they want to in the Vatican? Is a bit interesting. Do you have any idea why they'd send it to there specifically?
I've no idea, but that
Yeah.
I didn't really get because you can only do your research so far because there's a lot of stuff that's been censored. So even on Google, you can't find it.
Yeah, I know. I noticed Google is it's pretty bad for the censorship. It's good in functionality in some ways. It has to be said, like same with YouTube. But um, yeah, you can search for somebody's website and it won't appear. But then you go to another website, another search engine, and you type in it. It's like the top. It's the top thing that comes
Yeah,
up. Have you noticed that? Perhaps it's better to well, not just use Google, but even still, like I know what you mean. Like there is censorship on the internet. But so there's a history about like the birth certificate. But was there any more like about anything else about how we actually ended up where we are now, like with this current setup?
what do you mean this current setup? What's happening now with the
Yeah, like the
agenda?
political system and the corporations and the banking and all the corruption and how has it gotten so bad, Chevy? And in many ways, it's not the end of the world and there's a lot of opportunity here to do positive things and make a change. But undoubtedly, evil forces have gained a lot of control and a lot of the chessboard. So how did it? What happened?
Yeah, what happened? I think it's all been designed carefully. It's all been planned. It's like the mobile phones when you've got a mobile phone and you get addicted to it, and then you get another technology, you get addicted to it, and I think it's all been part of the plan, unfortunately. And now with the financial system, I don't know how true this is going to be, but it's looking like that we could be going digital currency, and you can only access a bank via your phone. But a lot of people have got so much used to using technology that it's very hard to backtrack. Do you know what I mean? It's like an addiction. You get addicted to something, and it's the same as food. What they put in your food, you get addicted to it, and it's hard to kind of wean yourself off it.
Yeah, but with everything, I suppose it does require the people to sort of go along with it, right? It's got to have our consent and our agreement, at least on some sort of level. So if enough people can sort of wake up to it, it might not get as far as they'd like, because it does seem from if you look at it that certain people would love, like certain groups would love to have a central bank digital currency. However, if the people en masse say no, that might not actually go through. I was contemplating like some of the biggest things that are sort of going on, the biggest agendas right now, um, because it was very easy when it was COVID, because that's clearly the biggest threat right now. But now it's gone away again, so we're like, well, okay, so now what are they trying to do? And I wouldn't be surprised if that actually would fail for something. I just in my mind, I was like, would they actually be able to get away with a totally cashless system? Um, yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm quite optimistic, at least in that regard. How about you?
Yeah, I am a little bit because a lot of more people are beginning to see what's actually going on, and they're refusing to pay by credit card. And I try use cash if I can. But I'm surprised how many people have actually started saying no. So yeah, I do agree. I do agree that it could. More and more people say no. Then, but yeah, what can they do?
Exactly right. Exactly. And but you were saying how you think this system has been sort of designed and set up the way it is, and I think that too, mate. It's like I don't know if this system is actually broken. It's just doing what it's supposed to do. It just wasn't actually meant to really serve the mass majority of people. It was meant to enslave them and keep the rich people at the top.
Yes, yes, yeah, I agree.
But who do you think designed it? Who have you got into that part in like you're researching? Like who were the orchestrators?
Um, no, not by research, but by intuition. I think it's personally, I think it's the Rothschilds. That's my personal opinion. I believe it's the Rothschilds that have set all this up, kind of going back hundreds of years. Um, I could be wrong, but that's my intuition and my gut feeling.
I that to me sounds, rings true of what I've seen. At least that they're a part of the group at the very top, and they were extremely, or still are, have been extremely influential in the world. And I seen something that was interesting, and this was a while back, but how actually they are like apparently the richest in the world, like the richest people, the richest person. I don't know if it's like you say, was one Rothschild who controls the entire banking industry, or it's a few of them in the family, but whoever that is, that they would actually be the top of the Forbes list, for example, but it deliberately hides them
Yeah.
because of the mass wealth that they have in the banking system. And yeah, can you remember, or have you ever seen like there's basically like a handful, like not even 10 now, I don't think, or less than that, um, who countries that have a national bank that isn't in controlled by the Rothschilds. Have you come across that?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Yeah, there was a list, and then it's gotten smaller over this past 2 decades of countries that still didn't have. And it's interesting. You look at the countries that are on them. I can't remember all of them now, but I know one of them was like Libya. And so what happened in the past 2 decades of Libya, when it got attacked or whatever, their local government changed and all this stuff, and it's like and then another one is Iran, interestingly enough, which I still believe doesn't have a national bank controlled by the Rothschilds.
Okay.
Yeah. But so let's talk a little bit about with Empower the People, do you attend any of our weekly member meetings, or are you engaging with anything on the platform that's been useful for you?
Yes, I when I've got time, I do kind of dip in and watch the replays of the biblical teachings. And I think I joined one. I can't remember what it was called. Um, oh gosh, I think it. Yeah, it's gone from my mind.
Was it one of the webinars?
No, it was a short course. It got
Ah,
into a lot about the biblical teachings about um, fiction versus the truth or something like that.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I joined that. Yeah, so I still need to watch it though because I've been so busy, and I try not to spend a lot of time on my computer. But I'm trying myself to educate to to teach my mind not to use my computers and my phones as much as I used to, and go back to basics.
Yeah, I can hear that. In fact, for me though, it's almost gone a different way.
Yeah,
More on social media than the internet now than ever, I think.
yeah,
I suppose it depends what you do with it, right? If you're actually using it. It's like a lot of these things, right? Like the social media technology, it's not like it's all inherently bad. It's just that a lot of it's being used for evil, eh? Okay. And where do you see um the future of Empower the People? Where do you think what's the future look like for you, Chevy?
for me.
Yeah, well, so for we'll start with yourself and what's coming up for you.
Okay, so for me, I am still going to enjoy the biblical teachings, but I'm also trying to educate other people about debts and how to get um, rid of the debts. And I'm referring them to yourselves because I don't really want to. Because I'm dealing with my own, because I prefer that my own debts because I've got quite a few that I need to um, sort out. But personally, for me, I feel it's a lesson for me to stand on my own 2 feet, if that makes sense, to stand my ground.
So what
And
was the lesson though to your current situation?
yeah, well, my business online hasn't been very good for the past 2 years, and the Royal Mail, when the Royal Mail went on strike, a lot of people wasn't ordering online, so it's affected me in a big way, and um, and I don't want to go bankrupt again. So I'm kind of tackling my debts myself by um, by questioning a lot of the because two of my debts have been sold, you see, to a third party. So I'm using what they call a three-letter process. I don't know if you understand. Do you know what that means?
I don't think I've heard that specifically, no.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what three-letter process you're
So
using.
so when a debt gets sold to another third party, they don't actually buy the whole debt. They only buy a percentage of it. So I'm kind of challenging that to ask for proof that they've actually sold my debt to this third party. So I'm challenging all that myself because I want to do it myself.
It's brave.
It's like a personal development for me.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can hear that, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but I know I can appreciate that there's not a lot of people that want to tackle their own debts. So those that don't want to tackle it themselves, and as you know, there's a lot of debt. There's a lot of people in debt at the moment. But for those that don't want to tackle it, then I'm referring them to yourselves, um, or anybody else. There's a couple of people that I like to use. But the biblical side, I do teach a lot of that also. And yeah, so I like to refer people to empower the people so that they can watch the webinars and stuff like that.
That's what we're here for. We're here to empower the people. Okay,
I hope I'm
great.
making sense.
Yes, yes, yes. And okay, great. Well, thanks, Chevy. So was there anything else you'd like to share with people whilst I've got you here?
What I'd like to share is just stand up to uh, the bullies because that's all they are. The manipulating bullies because I've been there. I got manipulated. I got bullied because I was in debt, and they nearly took my home. So now I'm fighting back, and I would kind of advise people if they can to just stand up to it.
That's awesome. Well, we certainly won't be we're cowering away at empower the people. Great. Well, thanks for joining me, Chevy.
Okay, you're welcome. I hope that helped.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.